Hello and welcome to this installment of On the Ridge, Seminary Ridge Museum and Education Center's digital web series. We're bringing you interesting stories of race, religion, medicine, and war from the 19th century and beyond. My name's Kaleb Kusmierczyk, and I serve as the Director of Museum Operations. Today, we are joined by a special guest, Peter Lukacs, who has done a lot of research here on the Gettysburg battlefield into witness trees. So behind us, you'll notice there's a large tree that up until recently we had presumed was a witness tree, but thanks to a tree nearby falling down from natural decay, we were able to confirm just kind of a rough estimate of its age. So I'll turn it over to Peter here to tell us a little bit about your background, what drew you into Gettysburg Witness Trees, and why Gettysburg specifically.
Well, my wife and I had, we had lived in New York for many years, and it had been our goal to come to Gettysburg. And so in 2020, through a series of fortuitous events during the COVID summer, we were able to move down here to Gettysburg. And so we bought a nice little house north of town, and we're very happy to be here and haven't looked back since.
Great.
One of the things that I had always wanted to do was volunteer with the National Park Service. So in 2021, I began volunteering at Gettysburg National Military Battlefield. And one of the first things I had asked one of the rangers was, how many witness trees do you think are on the battlefield? I don't know why I was interested, but it was something that even coming from New York, I had been aware of the existence of them. And the answer that I received was 12, maybe 15, and that was it. And they didn't really know which ones they were. They had a few in mind, that was the answer I got, and that was pretty much the accepted wisdom at the time. Over the next year, at some point, there was a gentleman who showed me some old Tipton photographs, William Tipton photographs, and he pointed out to me how you could identify some of the trees in those photographs taken around 1900 or 1910 that were still on the battlefield today. And with my engineering background and my love of numbers, I realized that if I could take accurate then and now reproductions of those old photographs, I could actually estimate the growth rates of those trees and work backwards and estimate their ages. And what I found is that this method actually works very, very well. Some of those trees have come down and have confirmed by ring counts, that those trees that I thought would be about 200 years old were at least 200 years old. And so we become confident and that there are many more trees than just those 12 and 15 that the rangers told me. And in fact, just from old photographs, I've identified about 150 trees, mostly white oaks, a handful of chestnut oaks, including one in the copse of trees that no one knew about, and a lot of hickory trees. Those are the primary species. And that led to the great event here in June of this past summer, Kaleb, when this small tree, well, it's not there anymore, but there was a small tree that fell over dead. And it was only about 23 inches in diameter. And when it fell over, my friend Greg Allen, who runs Gettysburg Sentinels, called me to come join him here. And we came out to the site, and I got down on my hands and knees to count the rings because that tree had already been cut up for disposal. And to my amazement, there were over 205 rings on that tree. So this tree that was only 23 inches in diameter, less than 2 feet, was over 200 years old. And you could tell from the rings that that tree at the time of the Battle of Gettysburg was about 3 or 4 inches in diameter at that time, at the time that the battle was fought here. And then what occurred to me, as Kaleb and Rob came to visit us here on the ridge to see what the heck we were doing, was that this might be a very historical spot, Kaleb. And so in fact, on as the first day's fighting was wrapping up, this is a really important spot, wasn't it?
Yeah, so where we are standing for context is right across the street from the historic Schmucker house. So the original home of the president, Samuel Simon Schmucker, lives just off the screen here. And the building behind this large tree is the modern day library. And so this tree behind us and this small grove of trees around us would have comprised of the extreme left flank of the Union line here on the afternoon of July 1st. The barricade of rails that will often be referred to in our museum or on walking tours or cupola tours, that would have ended just behind where this tree stands today. And so very much putting the ground around us in kind of this pivotal point of action where a lot of this fighting will take place here on the afternoon of July 1st, and ultimately leading the Confederates rolling up the Union line right around where we're standing here today.
So that was the 1st South Carolina that
breaks through, yes.
Breaks through with that turning movement. And so very likely they would have been moving through what was a woodlot here, right? Mm-hmm. And turned that Union line there and ultimately sent the men in blue back through town to wrap up the final assault and capture of Seminary Ridge that had been the goal, I guess. Well, it ended up being the final part of the battle and allows the Confederacy to claim victory on day one anyway.
Exactly, exactly. And one of the many questions that we get here oftentimes pertaining to the trees is, how many witness trees do we believe still to be on this campus? Well, obviously due to the size of this one, we naturally point folks in this direction, but through that other tree coming down, we can now pretty comfortably say, thanks to some of the work that Peter's done here, that there are several other witness trees that we believe to be surrounding this larger one. So again, this is ever-growing knowledge that we have here, thanks to some of the work that Peter has done here as well. So anything else you'd like to add? Yeah, this white oak here, it's about 208 inches in circumference, which works out to be about 5.5 feet in diameter. And it's clearly a monster, and it's clearly going to be a witness tree. That's not an issue. What I have found, though, is that there's a difference between some of the trees like we have here today and the one that came down, where they're in that 2 to 3 foot range, maybe a little more than 3 foot range in diameter, where when you count those rings, you'll see that it'll take them about 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years in a lot of cases to grow even 1 inch of diameter. But the handful of what you might call these super growth, oversized white oaks, those that have come down, they're going to be faster growing trees. This could still be very easily a 250-year-old tree, but I would not presume that this is growing at the same rate as that tree that was behind it. Sure. This is going to be growing much faster, but again, still very, very easily a witness tree, and easily 1 or 2 feet in diameter, I would guess, at the time of the battle. So it would have, it would have been something that a South Carolinian would have had to have gone around if it was in his path as he was trying to end the first day and survive here on July 1st. Charging up the ridge here, yeah, for sure. So when we say Seminary Ridge is old, right, there's a lot of history here. We're looking at a tree that dates back to the time of George Washington and the founding of this country. So lots of history here. We're surrounded by it. Even these small, somewhat small trees, when we look at them and compared to this one, we can certainly see that these witnesses still stand as a testament to this battle today. Why don't we go down and take a look at that stump down there? Sure, absolutely. Let's get a count on the, do a quick count on the rings. Absolutely, yeah. Take a short walk to a tree that came down recently, and we'll see if that was a witness tree as well. All right, so we've moved just a few yards away from where we were standing, a little further to the west on the ridge here, to a stump that we noticed when we started talking up at the large tree, which is just over my right shoulder here, that there was a freshly cut stump. And so Peter drew my attention, and we decided to come over and take a look at it. But upon a closer inspection here, what did we notice, Peter? Well, it's only a 60-year-old tree or so, wide rings, and probably not a white oak, probably an ash or something like that. And so that's always a small disappointment. But another thing that we noticed as we came down here is how deceptive the sizes of trees are when you're standing at a distance from them. So if I might just redirect Rob and the camera over here. This white oak from a distance, it doesn't look very impressive, but when I stand next to it, you can see that this diameter is close to 3 feet, a full yard. And being a white oak, which is what these other species are around here, and that was the species of the tree that had fallen and was taken down, and is also the size of the species of that tree over there, I would say that there's a very, very good chance, I would say 98, 99% chance that this is probably a witness tree as well. And when we go do our research together in the depths of the archives of the seminary, maybe we'll come across some pictures of these trees that date back a few decades or a century. Yeah, absolutely. So there you have it, folks. You're getting to see some of the history being made here. We're discovering trees that, you know, we've seen day in, day out for countless years, but realizing that we're starting to put those pieces together, that this probably in fact is a witness tree here still standing on the campus of the Theological Seminary here in Gettysburg.
All right, thanks, Caleb.
Yeah, my pleasure. Well, thank you for joining us for another installment of On the Ridge. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to give it a like, a share, a comment, and we look forward to seeing you back here on the Ridge sometime soon. Thank you.